The palace has planned to replace Harry and Andrew with Anne and Edward. Officials finalize methods to keep away from dukes ever standing in for the king. Welcome to Royal Gist, guys. Push the subscribe and notification button. In proposals first considered months in the past with the late Queen's blessing. Amid all this week's frantic number crunching and furtive haggling for the Conservative leadership, few have been paying an awful lot interest to the House of Lords order paper on a quiet Monday afternoon. Yet in a single quick exchange among the leader of the Lords and a Labour backbencher, we caught a glimpse of what can be the first constitutional reform of the reign of King Charles III. Ministers and senior palace officers at the moment are finalizing plans to keep away from any future prospect of the Dukes of Sussex or York being involved in political affairs in the absence of the king. Under proposals expected to return back before Parliament, probably inside weeks, the king could be capable of draw on a wider pool of royal substitutes, now no longer least the Princess Royal and the Earl of Wessex, to behavior habitual constitutional obligations while he's overseas. The Mail has found out that those proposals were already being taken into consideration a few months in the past, with the approval of the late Queen. Monday's parliamentary response from the leader of the Lords, Lord True, indicates that reform can be imminent. Ministers and senior palace officers at the moment are finalizing plans to keep away from any future prospect of the Dukes of Sussex or York being involved in political affairs in the absence of the king. At present, while the monarch is absent for something reason, nation business including approvals for maximum appointments and rules may be carried out through councillors of state. Under the phrases of the Regency Acts of 1937 and 1953. Those may be appointed from the four most senior adults in the line of succession, plus the consort of a monarch today, which means the Queen Consort, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Sussex, the Duke of York, and Princess Beatrice. Under the proposals in hand, the king might be capable of amplify that listing at his discretion, with the choice to encompass his different siblings, Anne and Edward. Reform is not without a few experience of urgency, for the reason that the king and the Queen Consort are in all likelihood to be heading overseas soon. The first time that the monarch has been overseas in 7 years. On the final occasion, the late Queen was attending the 2015 Commonwealth Summit in Malta. The Dukes of Sussex and York were amongst the ones she appointed as councillors of state beforehand. Since then, however, Prince Harry has bowed out of royal obligations and moved abroad, even as Andrew has been eliminated from public existence following his association with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Palace officers are aware that, at a time of supranational, global and financial turbulence, it might be incredibly embarrassing if the easy and on-the-spot running of presidency have been all of sudden depending on both of the two errant dukes. In theory, nation commercial enterprise should nonetheless be carried out through the Prince of Wales and Princess Beatrice, though she is a personal citizen who won't be at the pressing of a constitutional finger. She additionally does now no longer bring the imprimatur of a operating member of the royal family, rather than amend law to exclude any unique individuals, so the wondering goes. It makes an awful lot extra experience in reality to enlarge the alternatives to be had to the king, hence the in all likelihood inclusion of different operating participants of the family. That way, no person won't be angry and business can keep normally. Within royal and parliamentary circles, the instance of the miners' strike in 1974 is frequently cited. At the time, the Queen began on a long tour of Australia and the Pacific. On February 7, a nation of emergency became declared, as Ted Heath's authorities was delivered to its knees through the industrial action, giving the authorities special powers to take over components and distribution of fuel, food and the necessities of existence. The subsequent day, Parliament was dissolved. In each cases, those orders needed to be permitted through councillors of state. On that occasion, they have been Princess Margaret and the Queen Mother. Let's desire Britain is not decreased to that kind of chaos again. However, it'd hardly ever be very reassuring if it required the signature of the Duke of York to hold